Welcome to 21ism. Today we're going to be building a raspiblitz. Rootsol was our featured dev for code block 1, and after speaking to him I thought it was really important to make a video so that everyone has access to building one of these. Everyone can be running their own node using Lightning and hopefully using BTC Pay Server and some of the other amazing features that you can use with the raspiblitz. I ordered all the parts, which I've got a parts list that's going to be shown shortly. What I would suggest is order the parts on the list. Don't stray too far from what we've got on there, because you can encounter problems if you have the wrong either power cables or casings. So it's best just to stick with the list. And as you can see now, that list is mainly from Amazon, but also from the Pi Hut in the UK. Obviously you can use them, you can buy these things from most places online in most countries. So before we jump in, just make sure that obviously you've ordered all of these bits and you've got everything ready. Make sure that your desk is clear and you have some space to work. So as you can see here, I'm just unpacking everything that I've ordered. This is the heatsink case. I actually was missing some parts, so you'll see a little bit later on in the video I've had to split this into two because it didn't come with the screws and Allen key that were needed, but it's the first time it's ever happened to me. It was just a bit of bad luck, I think. So I ordered another one and carried on with the video a couple of days later when they arrived. But yeah, so as you can see, we've got the micro SD card, we've got the hard drive, we've got SSD, we've got Raspberry Pi 4 and the heatsink. So here it shows you remove this before installing. We'll obviously do that when we get to it. We've got the screen here. That's actually one of the defining features that sets this apart from a lot of other nodes, is it does, or you can fit an LCD screen. It's really not that expensive and I really like it. I love mine. It just looks cool and you can interact with it through the screen. One thing to note is you'll probably see in this video, I'm unpacking now a connector for the SSD. I ordered two and I went with this one because I've heard good reviews. Some of the other ones, some of the other casings apparently have caused issues, so try and stick with the one that's in this video, or at least reach out and ask Rootsol or someone in the community to double check before you order. So here's the parts a couple of days later which have arrived. So I was missing those and I was also missing these screws. So make sure when you're doing this to put these exactly where I've put them. If you can't see or you're unsure, again you can double check, but I hope this is clear enough and you can see it. Make sure that you take the sticky backing off both sides and put them on. You can probably see I'm a little bit cack-handed, so I made a bit of a meal of it, but it works absolutely fine. And since making this video, the nodes run absolutely perfectly. Uptime's been 100% and I love it. It's absolutely brilliant. One thing to note is with the heatsink case, I've always previously run, or all my other nodes are run with fans. I thought I'd try this one, and it does run hotter than my other nodes by actually about 20 degrees. The others are low 40s. This is sort of mid 60s. I think it may be because the LCD screen sits on top, so it could be worth getting a second casing or a desk fan, which is what I use, just a desk fan to cool it down. But yeah, so you now, once you fitted those three, you put this on, you attach it to the case, make sure that the holes line up. You can see there, I need to switch that round. And yeah, once it's all lined up, you can then screw it together. You don't have to go too crazy, you don't have to tighten it a crazy amount, just so that it's secure and it's not going to come apart. There we go, and I'll speed this bit up so it doesn't take all day. There we are, easy as that. Right, now what you want to do is start connecting the other pieces. So as I said, this is the one I would personally use. Plug it into one of the USB ports. They run down the center. Remove this label before you put it together, and then attach it. It's a little bit stiff, so just be careful with it. Make sure that you don't force it, but it should slot in nicely and then feel secure. And this is the power cable I was talking about. So for anyone in the UK, you have the 3-pin, but they make them for everywhere. This is just an official Raspberry Pi one. As I say, I've had no issues with it, so I suggest don't go too cheap. And here we are, here's the screen. So you'll see that the screen lines up with the pins. Make sure that it lines up properly, and again, don't force anything, but it will be quite firm. Don't push down on the center of the screen, obviously, just use the edges. This is the one that I said not to use. I've heard that people have had issues with it, so I've put that to one side, and that's it. Okay, for the rest of the video, just for privacy reasons, so I don't leak my IP or any other information that I shouldn't be leaking in the video, what we're going to be doing is going through some of the documentation that is available on GitHub. This is all provided by the raspiblitz team. It's very, very good. I went through it myself to set mine up, and I'm just going to go through it now in audio form as well for people who find that helpful. So what we're going to be doing now is downloading the raspiblitz image. That's the card image that you download. So you'll be downloading that. It shouldn't take you too long, and then once it's downloaded, you want to be using Berliner Etcher. Berliner Etcher can be downloaded for free on any operating system, and it's really, really quick and easy. In the next slide, I will talk you through how you do that. Okay, so now you're going to see the Berliner Etcher software. This is an example of what it will look like on your screen. So on the left hand side, there'll be where the blue button is, Flash from File. You want to click that, and then you want to choose where it says SD card reader media. You want to make sure that you've got the correct SD card and that you're writing onto the correct one. If you've got this plugged in, it should come up. You just choose it from the menu and then click flash. It shouldn't take long at all. Once it is flashed, remove it securely, and we'll go on to the next step. You should now have on your screen a Raspberry Pi 4 with labels, a picture of it with all the labels of where things are, so you can use this for reference. The USB cable's in the middle, the Ethernet cable up at the top, and it shows you where your power is, but most importantly for the next step is to insert your micro SD card that you've just flashed using Berliner Etcher. You want to put your SD card in before we go any further. Make sure that you have it the right way around, don't force it, and once it's inserted, we'll move on to the next step. Okay, now we've inserted the card, we should now be able to plug the power in and also plug in the Ethernet cable, which will then go into your router on your home network. Once you've done that and you fire it up, you should have what we see on the screen come up if everything goes correctly, which should show you your IP address for your raspiblitz. Now what you want to do is open your terminal and you want to SSH in. So you can use the command SSH admin @ and then your IP. Your IP is what is shown on the screen for the Raspberry Blitz. So it shows you exactly what you need to put in there. And the password when it asks for it is raspiblitz. All of this obviously is on the screen. I'm just talking it through for you. Okay, and on to the next step. Okay, and next, after you log in via SSH and using the admin password, the Raspberry Blitz will run a hardware test. Let this obviously run through and make sure that everything is okay before you go any further. It takes a little bit of time. Just wait, relax, and come back to it. Don't rush it. Just wait. It will tell you when it's done. After you've done that, you obviously want to set up Bitcoin. Don't be messing around with anything else here. We are Bitcoin only. So set up Bitcoin and Lightning default, and then you want to press OK. Okay, once that's done, the first thing is to name your Raspberry Blitz. Name it anything you like, but it says keep it basic and not too long, so don't go too elaborate. This is the name given to your Raspberry Blitz as a public alias of the Lightning Network node for everyone to see, so probably don't give any personal details in it. Don't give your birthday or your name or anything obvious like that. And then it's going to ask you to use 4 different passwords and make sure you write these down. Password A, password B, C and D. Make sure, she says here to put it into a PDF sheet. It's probably fine. I'm hyper paranoid, so I do everything with pen and paper or stamped into steel. You know, it's down to you, but at a minimum, make sure that you have 2 copies. Make sure that you have checked and double checked these passwords and they're definitely correct. You don't want to lose access to your funds. Okay, and once you've done that, we can move on to the next step. Just write these down first on the paper, and then we're going to use them in the next step. Now you want to just have a read through of this screen, but it's going to ask you to enter in your password A. It will get you just to confirm it as well, and then it's going to do the same for password B. Do both of those. Like I say, make double, triple sure that you have these correctly written down so you don't lose access. Okay, after that it's going to ask you to either set up using your public IP or run over Tor. Again, down to you. I would always suggest using Tor wherever possible. Value your privacy, it's important, and just know that if you're running over Tor, things can be a little bit slower and the IBD can take longer, but I ran all of mine over Tor. I haven't got the fastest internet in the world, and it took me 3.5, 4 days to do the full download and have it all up and running. So it's not that much time, and you get so much better privacy. Okay, next it's going to ask you to sync your hard drive, your SSD. So you want to do that, and then you want to sync, self-validate all blocks, default 2 days. I assume everyone who's doing this is setting it up fresh, so you want to click that first one and then press OK. Okay, have a read through this as well, and then next it's going to ask you to set up Lightning. Lightning is installed and waiting for you to set up, if you see in this screen. So at the bottom of the screen you should see something like that. And again, I'm assuming this is a new setup, so set up a brand new Lightning node default, press OK. Now it's going to ask you to set up password C. This is for your wallet, to unlock your wallet. So you want to make this something that is fairly complex and not obvious to anyone that they're going to guess it, because obviously this is what secures your funds. So do that, and again, just write it down and make sure that you've got it correct. And once you've done that, it is going to ask you to write down your seed words. It's going to give you 24 words. Keep these safe, don't show anybody these, and yeah, make sure they are definitely right, because it's easy enough to mess this up or get a couple of words switched around. So check, double check, triple check, and when you're happy, we'll move on to the next step. Okay, now it's going to make sure your wallet is initialized correctly. It's going to ask you to unlock it with password C that you've written down. So you want to do that and press OK. And after that, it's going to just run through some final setup configurations, as you can see here. And when it's done, it will say setup is done. After it reboots, it is going to ask you to unlock it again. So use your password and unlock. Then it says on the first start, you will have a longer waiting time between 10 minutes and 2 to 3 days, depending on your initial setup. This will take a few days, so don't be too impatient with it. Leave it running. Like I said before, make sure that you do have a fan running, or that you check the temperature. You don't want this thing running too hot. And you can check the progress on the screen or in your terminal, either one. Okay, probably have been a few days since you were at the last slide, but now you should be seeing what we see at the bottom of this screen, with the black, green, white and yellow, and the lightning bolt on the left hand side. If you're seeing that, that's good news, and we will move on to the next part. If you're still logged in, you should now be seeing what we see in front of us. So this is your main menu. If you aren't, you can SSH back in, and then you should see the main menu like this. As it says at the bottom, okay, so here on out, your Raspberry Blitz is ready to play with. So there will be some things that you'll have to do. I'm going to cover these in another video. There's plenty of information out there. You can have a play. But yeah, another video is coming to set this up, and also to set up BTC Pay server.